So, and I know you do keynotes and a lot of leadership training. Um, Walk us through a little bit, if you don't mind. So, it sounds like the assessment is part of that discussion with an organization. What would you mind sharing with our audience? Like, what are the five basic, appreciation languages that exist in the business context,
Sure.
and do they vary? Is there one that's more common than others, or is it pretty equal across the board?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you about that. So, words of affirmation is actually the most common. It's identified by 46% of the workforce as their primary language. Part of that, I think, is enculturation. Part of it's sort of easy to do, but nonetheless, words. And words can be, just a personal compliment or a thanks. You got to be specific about it. But also, it can be written, right? Through a text or an email or a post-it note, and you leave it on somebody's desk. The issue is that you need to be specific about what they did and how it impacted you, the organization, your customer. You say, Brian, thanks for getting your report done in and on time to me. That made it easy for me to turn my report around to my supervisor. And so thanks for doing that. And if you get the action and the language right, it doesn't take a lot. It's not like you have to be doing this all the time. It's really sort of hitting the target versus sort of a shotgun approach. So one of the things we do know is that going up in front of a large group to be recognized is not often the way people want. I mean, we have 40% at least of the general workforce don't want to go up in front of a large group to be recognized. And so that's actually a negative. Quality time is, like I said, either individual time with your supervisor or hanging out with your friends. Key part is that it's with people that you want to hang out with versus they want to hang out with you and you're not necessarily that interested. And it's 26% of the workforce. So it's second, but clearly less. So about one out of every four. And like I said, in the past, it was more related to who you report to, your supervisor and manager, but now it's more about colleagues and people you like to hang out with that way. Um, and then acts of service is 22%, so about one out of every five employees. Acts of service isn't rescuing a low performing colleague. It's more probably the best context is when you're on a time oriented project that you're having to push to get it done, and you're just really hammering it. What's something that somebody could do to help make that go better? And that could be, bringing in, dinner for you so you can keep on it. It could be sort of taking care of your daily tasks so you can focus on the project that you're working on, or it could be, that you delegate part of it. Acts of service, a key part is that you need to do it in the way that they want and at the quality level that they want. One of the reasons that people don't like to hand that off is they're afraid it won't get done, in the right way. So, I had one CEO tell me, he said, my language is get her done. He said, don't give me stuff, don't tell me stuff, just help me get things done. I know you're on my team. And these people, a lot of times words don't mean much. And that you can actually sort of waste, sort of like words are cheap, that kind of attitude. And so you can waste your time doing stuff that doesn't matter to them. Fourth language is tangible gifts. And tangible gifts is an interesting one because that's where employee recognition programs focus a lot, on giving things and rewards and all that. It's not in our model, it's not compensation, it's not bonuses or whatever, but it's really small things that are showing you getting to know the other person and what they like. So it could be, their favorite kind of coffee, whether that's a pumpkin spice or whatever, or a favorite snack. Could be maybe something about their sports team, and remotely, we're able to do this as well. But, or you send them an article about, maybe a player, that they like, and it's a kind of gift, that it's information. And so, but it's only 6% of the population. And it's interesting because one, I think a lot of companies waste a lot of money on gifts and rewards that don't impact. But the way that you can make them more impactful is that you combine it with one of the other languages. So if their language is words, you make sure and you say something about them or quality time. And so it makes those impactful because people said, if I never hear anything, if you never stop by to check in and see how I'm doing, if I never get any help when I need it, and yet I get a gift, feels pretty superficial. And so That's where that's at. And then physical touch, which is obviously the interesting one in the workplace and it's largely spontaneous celebration, right? I mean, it's a high five, and we're talking pre-COVID days. I'll give an example here in the past, but or a fist bump, a pat on the back, maybe a congratulatory handshake. It seems like the fist bump is the one that's going to stay for right now. I've tried out a backhanded five. Doesn't really work. Doesn't feel the same. So, but the fist bump seems to be out there, and for some people, it's less than 1% of the population, but it differs regionally and culturally, right? So we have our materials in Spanish and Portuguese and other languages. And for our Latin American friends, physical touch is more important. Also in the South, they're more likely to give side hugs. I mean, you're in Charlotte. I worked with an organization that they merged New York and Charlotte, and they did not know how to greet one another. It's just culturally it's really different because in New York, this is what a physical touch is like in New York. Hey, right? I mean, that's it, right? So sort of from a distance. So that's what's up with those.